and I'm really glad to hear that everyone is staying safe and healthy. But the first order of business today that I'd like to take care of is roll call. And because I'm speaking, we can start with me, and then Corey, and then whoever else after Corey would like to go. So I am Zach Bayman. I'm the chairman of the Commission on Disability Issues.
Hi, I'm Denise Janez. I'm staff liaison for the Commission on Disability Issues, the Human Rights Commission, and the Independent Community Police Oversight Commission. Forgive me for being a couple minutes late. I couldn't get off the phone with the commissioner. So.
Oh, no problem, Denise, and thank you so much for all of your help. I am planning on formally introducing you in just a moment here, but welcome.
Thank you.
Christiana Allen Pipkin, Commissioner.
Larry Keeler, Commissioner.
Tim Hall, Commissioner.
Matthew Solomon, Commissioner.
Elizabeth Nelson. I am a city council person, city council liaison to the commission.
And I am Corey Ferris, staff liaison, current for the final meeting here. And that's all we have currently on the roster. I'll call out though someone else joins though. Zach.
Okay. All right, great. Wonderful. Well, everyone for joining, and I do appreciate it. Next on the agenda, I'd like to move to approve the agenda, but I do have proposed review of the agenda today. Alex Gossage, the executive director of the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, he could not join today, so I would like to sort of remove that from today's agenda, and then we can have a update from him hopefully at the next meeting. So I'd like to think that we remove the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living presentation today. Is there anybody that would second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mary seconds. And all in favor of removing the executive director for the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living presentation from today's agenda, say aye.
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 Great. So that can be removed. At this time, is there anything anyone would like to remove from the agenda? Or is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
Approve or vote. Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion. Okay, there's a motion to approve. I believe that was Tim, and then Larry Keeler seconded. All in favor of approving today's meeting agenda, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So today's agenda is, so next we have the approval of the February 19th meeting minutes, and Corey was gracious enough to send us an electronic copy of those. And I'd like to just take a minute or two, nothing very, very long, but if you guys want to just take a look of the meeting minutes for a meeting back in February, and take a look at the minutes. If there are any corrections, spellings, or different things that you find, you can bring to our attention now. So a couple of minutes to review those.
Man, that seems a lifetime ago.
Yes.
What's that?
It was a different world.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It seems like a long time. right. Okay, since everyone has had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from eons ago at this point.
I would move to approve.
Okay, so you'll move to I'll second, and then that's February. Please give a verbal aye if you.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right. Thank you. All right, next. Thank you. The presentation, of course, I want to give the virtual floor to Monkevich of the Watchtower Library for the blind and physically disabled. And thank you, Katie, for joining us. And, you know, how it's going kind of the library. I mean, obviously, interesting times for everyone. And what are you guys doing to sort of adapt to the situation?
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me. I'm excited to tell you about what we've been doing. We obviously are closed at our buildings, but our staff has been working really hard to still bring virtual programming to the folks of Ann Arbor. You can find it at aadl.tv. It's a YouTube channel, and we've got all sorts of things up there. We've got board meetings, including the most recent board meeting that includes the Josie's Directors Report, in which she talks about her plan and the board's strategy for reopening the library. It's really interesting stuff, and sort of goes along with the state plan. So if you're interested, I highly suggest going to check out our most recent board meeting to see sort of where we stand. That information I've heard will also be posted to our website shortly, but currently the best place to go is aadl.tv. When you go there, you'll also see that there's a bunch of cool stuff. We've been doing story times every single day at 10 o'clock. It premieres. And we've got crafts and book reviews. There's a brand new show we've just started called The Saturday Show. It's like a review. It's fun. So it's a good place to go for the whole family. Adults too, though. So there's a mix of programming, and we're actually really proud of what we've been doing. So we hope that people do check that out. Before I move on to sort of talking about the Watchtower Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled and some materials, does anybody have any questions about the Ann Arbor District Library and our plan and what we're doing? Okay, sounds like you've got it. Oh, Matthew?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess I'm just curious as a citizen of Ann Arbor, and I haven't really been following online.
Mhm.
What is the plan for coming back online? You've been kind enough not to charge me overdue fines for my books that are out, but what is the plan?
So it's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to be a gradual reopening where we'll start asking for people's materials back, and we'll start doing some things with locker checkouts. So we've got lockers at Malletts Creek and Pittsfield, and we're trying to get them for the rest of the branches. We also may do some sort of vestibule checkout that's like no contact checkouts. So that's sort of how we're gonna start, and then we'll progress from there. We may also, one thing that is talked about is doing computer stations for folks where you wouldn't necessarily have a staff person present to help, but that a staff person would be connected to the computer and could offer some computer assistance remotely, but while the person was at a computer station at the library. So there are a lot of sort of gradual things that we'll be doing. I know that they've installed some plexiglass, and that all of our staff will have PPE. We'll be asking folks to wear masks inside the library when we first open. But if you want more detail, look for that director's report when it gets posted. It really has like exactly what the plan is. But that's a gist.
Thank you for your efforts.
Good.
Much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else have a question? Okay, so I'm really pleased to say that during this closure at AADL, the Watchtower Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled has been able to remain mostly open. We've got staff people working almost 40 hours a week still to take orders from people. We're just not answering the phone. So we're not physically in the building. But what happens is when somebody calls us at 734-327-4224, they can leave a message for the Library for the Blind, and one of our staff people will get it right away, and we can take orders in that way. We can, people can leave their phone number if they need further assistance. A staff person will call them back. And they can also email us at wlbpd@aadl.org, and we're answering email. There are still folks in Lansing on a limited basis who are sending out digital cartridges with books on them. There's a new system that they've implemented that allows many titles to go on one cartridge, and it's a really nice on-demand system that allows us to get whatever title a person wants onto that cartridge, whether or not it's available physically in the library or not, because we have digital copies now. So that has been really great, and we've gotten some excellent feedback that people's service has not been interrupted. That said, this is a really good time if anybody's been wondering about maybe signing up for Braille and audio reading download called Bard. It's a wonderful system where there are tens of thousands of books available for download. And if somebody is a member of the Watchtower Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled, they are qualified to use the system. It's awesome. You can put the books on a flash drive, but there's also an app for Android and Apple. So you can find the app in the App Store. Just need to apply at the Bard website. That is nlsbard.loc.gov. And if anybody has any questions, they want to talk about Bard more, or they need help with the application, they can give us a call, and we'll call them back and we can help walk them through or even fill out the application on their behalf. Any questions about that?
Awesome.
Just a comment.
Sure.
This is Larry
Go ahead,
Kibbe,
Larry.
just a comment. Yeah, it's working just fine. Bard works just fine.
It's great, isn't it?
I've been, of course, I use it just a little bit.
I know you do. Yes, I'm aware.
And no, it's working just fine. I think they're putting up fewer things, but there's still quite enough stuff up there.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower in adding titles than it usually is, but there's still more reading material than you'll ever make it through. So
Oh yeah, and if you're like me, you can put it on your own cartridges and whatnot. So you can.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been affected that much.
I'm so glad to hear that you're using it and that it's working well for you. That's great. And then something that I usually do at your meetings is highlight a couple of books I've usually pulled from the Ann Arbor District Library collection and made sure that they're available in regular large print and Bard versions. Wasn't able to do that, and that does remind me to mention that our large print book service is currently suspended, so that's something that we're not able to do at the moment just because those books come from the Ann Arbor District Library collection and we don't have staff there right now. But everything else for the Library for the Blind is functioning very well. As you heard Larry say, Bard has been very popular, and I just wanted to tell you about 3 titles that are new to Bard that have been very popular and are some of the most downloaded titles in the last month. So here we go. The first one is Blindside by James Patterson. New York's mayor has a daughter who's missing, and Detective Michael Bennett has a son who's in prison. The two strike a deal. Sources lead Bennett to a homicide in the Bronx. The victim has ties to a sophisticated hacking operation and also to the mayor's missing 21-year-old computer prodigy daughter. The next one is The Numbers Game by Danielle Steele. Eileen Jackson was happy to set aside her own dreams to raise a family with her husband, Paul. But when Eileen discovers that Paul is having an affair with a younger woman, she wonders whether it is too late for her to start over. And the last one is Dog is Love, Why and How Your Dog Loves You by Clive D. L. Wynne. A canine behaviorist draws on studies from his own lab and others around the world to look at the question of whether dogs do, in fact, love their humans. Using research such as MRIs of dogs interacting with their owners, he concludes that affection is intrinsic to dogs. So thank you all for listening to me. Does anybody have any other questions about the library right now? All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, well, Katie, thank you so much for all that you do, not just for the library, but for the community. And I definitely wish you and all the rest of the library staff health, safety, and things progress. And you guys, kind of go through this as we all will. You'll keep us all informed. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. You all have a great meeting.
Thank you, too. All right. So next, we have our public comment section. Now, if there are any public comments would like to be made at this time, anybody in, you can press star 9 to engage and make a comment this time. Or, Corey, could you also give them the prompts for Zoom as well?
I think that would be Denise now. Zach, I think that would be Denise that's doing it. I think Corey stepped out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Well, Denise,
okay. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to hear.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So it's star 9, and then what else press on their screen to participate?
Okay, here I go. Thank you. Okay. Corey just lost power. He's loading up again. Okay. I have participants and attendees. Do I need to click on someone?
Sure. I'm not sure what you have to press to engage the public comment. They can press. I know if they're calling from a phone, they can press star 9, or there should be an icon,
star 9, isn't it?
that will allow them to.
I don't have anyone showing at the present time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. So no public comment this time. All right. Great. All righty. So next, under old business, we do have, we're working on something for the crosswalk law. I know that there were discussions the months prior talking about pushing forward. I know that was being discussed as well within the city council now, and sort of what we were going to do to adapt that. Tim and I had emailed back and forth, and we're working on a draft. Of course, now we're kind of of this situation, and so I wasn't sure it might be best. If Tim and I, we can continue to work on it, but still, until we're actually able to get back and moving and sort of kind of work our way out of the situation. I guess my biggest question would come for our city council liaison, Elizabeth. I mean, do you know, is it still something that, our city council, they're still looking for our feedback on this, or are things kind of slowed at the moment and people are just, working on other issues?
Feedback on what? I'm sorry.
Oh, so months back we were working on giving some feedback on the crosswalk law, because of course we wanted to, kind of weigh in on that.
Oh, right.
Ann Arbor was trying to, adapt some things, and we were giving some feedback. But I wanted to know, from city council's perspective, are you guys still working on those issues at this time, or are a lot of these, kind of shelved until, we kind of get back moving and what recommendations?
I think it's
back on this.
I think it's fair to say that it's not on the front burner. Tim probably has some perspective from transportation. I don't, but I understand that most of the movement from council was about changing things. And I've got to say, this is not a topic of conversation right now, particularly. There's just so much else going on.
Yeah, I think.
I think the bigger topic that we are looking at right now is just the changed environment. How the roads are looking very different because there are so many fewer cars, and the sidewalks are looking very different because there are so many more pedestrians. And so there was a recent resolution about the social distancing.
Zach, can I chime in here for a second? This is Sally.
Yes.
Can you hear me? So one of the things that we were hoping to get is updated pedestrian crash data since 2014, because you were able to provide it through 2014 or 2013, I think it was. But if there's, some time here before it becomes sort of, a priority on city council, we can at least, or the commission can at least do some more data gathering in terms of how the pedestrian crash data has changed over time since 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little input.
Go ahead, Tim.
So I think this was the main thing here was a resolution we were going to propose. We had a draft it was about a proposed state law that would change that would essentially override our existing city crosswalk ordinance. And we were going to express concerns at that because the language that was being proposed was weaker than our existing ordinance. And there was concerns about that. And so I think that at the moment, I'm guessing it's not on the top of the legislators' priority because, they're only meeting very occasionally at this point, mostly when they have to do something more urgent. We had a draft, but it wasn't sent out with the agenda, so I don't think we got a chance to review it, so we can't exactly approve it, even if we wanted to at this meeting.
Right.
But that's kind of where we were going. I don't know if it was so much a city council action, though the city council had talked about an action regarding their stance on that law, which is part of why we were thinking about this. I think that got shelved.
Well, I want to ask the commission as a whole, and thank you both, Elizabeth and Tim and Sally, for your input on this. But I wanted to ask the commission as a whole, do we think that this is worth continuing to get a draft finished with the updated crash data in mind, and then voting on it, and then somehow getting it to city council to review and things, or should we shift our focus elsewhere at this point? I wanted to ask all of your opinions.
If I can chime in here for a second, back when I was on city council from 2012 to 2014, one of the sort of unresolved questions is whether or not the pedestrian crossing ordinance is actually resulting in reduced pedestrian crash, pedestrian deaths, pedestrian injuries.
Right.
And so the data, if I'm going off of memory here, but as I recall, the pedestrian crash and death rate continued to climb as it did in other cities. And the rationale then was it wasn't because the pedestrian crossing ordinance isn't working necessarily, it's because of the increase in distracted driving and cell phones. And so we don't really know the answer to that question, but I think if we looked at updated data, that would, at least we can see some trends and whether or not the trend line is increasing slower in Ann Arbor than it is in other cities. I think we just need to look at updated data before we decide to do anything. And I think the way City Council, what I recall things left in terms of the current request is City Council is waiting for feedback from us. And I don't think we've ever given it, but I think we need to go back to the drawing board now that it's not really a priority. I think the commission can go back on the drawing board and look at some new data, and then maybe that will be informative in terms of what direction we want to go in as a commission.
Okay.
Sally, this is Larry.
Yeah, hi.
I remember you were involved in that when you were still on you were on city council when I had brought that up the first time, weren't you, back in?
Exactly.
And I do remember doing this. So if this data is from that old, and I remember we wanted to do some more, I think we should look, get an updated data then. Because if if we're working on data, that was the stuff we used way back then when we were first doing it.
Right. And I don't know that we've been able to get updated. I assume by law, someone has to track it. But asking city staff to get it for us.
Okay.
And, I mean, that, Elizabeth, might be something you can help us with in terms of, if it's.
Yeah.
So I would agree that we should continue the project.
Okay.
Crash data is definitely something that has been talked about, and the need for us to be looking at it. So yeah, as soon as that is available, I can make sure that it comes here as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
I guess my concern is I think you have to ask for it to be available. I don't know that they're publishing it. I have a feeling that it might be on-demand data, but I don't know. I think, Zach, you had asked for it before, and they gave you 2014 data or 2013 data. They didn't give you the new stuff.
I mean, is it something as simple, Sally, where, I can, put in a request through the city, or is it better, Elizabeth, to have you directly ask? What's the best method?
You know what? I'll ask. I can track this down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't lose. I don't think.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Hopefully, once we get back, we can, like Sally stated, kind of go back to the drawing board, look at the data. We can all, once we have an opportunity to look at it, if we can all, give our feedback on a Zoom call, then I think, we can start to, move forward and give City Council the feedback that they were looking for. So is it safe to say then with this that we will revisit this once we get that updated crash data?
I move that we continue to work on it and revisit the issue.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that, what we weren't sort of beating a dead horse and, focusing on something that, wasn't going to bring us much result. But hey, I'm all for continuing this and then getting the data and get city council the
I'd like to
feedback.
see the new data, actually. I'd really like to see it because it might make a difference.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other, are there any other additions to this, or can we move forward? All right. Moving on. So I'd like to welcome finally, and I'm sorry to do this in the beginning, Denise, but I want to thank Corey Ferris for all of your work. You did a great job. And now we have a new liaison who's going to be, and she is doing a wonderful job today, stepping in to work for the commission, Denise. So you're very, well versed in this work, and we're definitely glad to have you.
I'm glad
Excuse
to
me,
be
Zach,
here.
I'm having a difficult.
It's hard to hear.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
Zach, I'm having a difficult time hearing you.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Can you hear me now, guys?
Hey, you just sound a little muffled. Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead, Miss Denise.
That's all right.
I said I'm just glad to be here, and I look forward to working with the commission.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I had a question for you, Denise, because I know Corey also he had worked in HR, and he would give us HR updates and stuff on different things. But of course, you're in a different department, so are we likely not going to get that report then, or are we still able to get that information?
Well, I would have to check with Corey on that because true, I do not have any connections with the HR department. I just cover the other two commissions, the HRC and ICPOC.
Yep, got it. Okay.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Corey.
Hi, I'm sorry, and I apologize. I had lost power a little bit earlier. I just want to make sure you all can hear me. But I did want to just say, it was really great working with you all. I really respect the work you do, and I'm honored to have been able to serve on it. I know Denise is going to do a great job as well.
Thank you.
As far as the personnel, if you'd like, Denise, you can always pop an email to me. Just say, hey, is there any big hires or departures I need to be aware of? I'd be happy to keep you informed of that if you'd like.
Okay, no problem.
Nice.
Okay, great, wonderful. All right. Well, yeah. Well, thank you again, Corey, for everything. Wish we could have said goodbye to you in person, but once we're able to do so, proud to say thank you in person. But thank you so much, Corey, and we wish you the best.
That sounds great. And again, thank you all.
All right. Next, we have the chair report, and one of the things that I wanted to mention that I was very, very proud of all of you willing to be a part of this earlier in March when a lot of this situation was unfolding before us, and it was very, very scary and also very unfortunate, but I'd gotten approached by Disability Powered and Bessa Cosmo, who's their executive director, and she had reached out to myself and the commission wanting our support for an executive order that basically affirms anti-discrimination policies and requires certain healthcare providers to develop equitable access to care protocols during this COVID-19 pandemic. And obviously, I thought it was something very important for us to get behind, and I am very, very thankful that all of you felt that this was something to be a part of. And when I sent all the information in for us to be in support of this, I was excited to hear back, just like here, that on March 10th, 2020, the Department of Health Human Services, as well as the governor, who worked on this executive order, which is number 020-64. And they were able to get this signed by the governor and enacted. And so I was very, very excited to kind of have this, emergency policy in place for those with health conditions and disabilities during this pandemic. So I don't know if all of you had a chance to look at it. I did send a link to that specific executive order that she signed. And so if you want me to resend it to you, I can. But basically, it, enables all people with disabilities also get the same internet access to the same facilities to be treated for this pandemic. So I thought it was very important, and I want to congratulate all of you because I think that this was timely and a big win for us in the state of Michigan. So, all right. Next up, I wanted to say that Corey, our former Corey said he let us know that the city is going to allow us to use Zoom up to June 30th. And of course, our next meeting is going to be on June 17th. And so I'm not really sure, you guys, and I don't know, Elizabeth, if you have any additional information on this in our city council is done. Not sure if, moving forward, if we're going to be, allowed to meet in the city council building in person or how that's happening. But I know up to the 30th, we are allowed to do meetings through Zoom again. And of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city is actually encouraging people to meet through Zoom if possible. So that being said, our meeting on June 17th can also be done through Zoom as well. And if all of you are privy to that and agree to that, then we can do that. But do you know, Elizabeth, are there any current plans right now to have city council meet in person, or are you guys still going to be meeting through Zoom, other forms of media for the foreseeable future?
So I don't know what the timeline is in terms of transitioning back to City Hall, but I do know that those conversations are happening. We were kind of surprised to see that in an update, gosh, it might have been a week ago or more, that there are serious conversations about, are there essential services that are, how can they transition to City Hall? Now, public meetings are something different entirely, but what I'm told is they're trying to figure out who typically works at City Hall in person. Obviously, they're all working from home now. Could they have split schedules where half of them are working at City Hall and are able to social distance in the building? I know from a conversation with Jackie Boudry had functions that absolutely were public facing, and her office has had to continue with having staff go in and out of the building, making appointments with people to get work done. But other city departments have transitioned completely out of the building. And so we're having conversations about some of the functions transitioning back, but like very, very preliminary conversations. And so that last meeting that occurred in March, where everybody was sort of 10 feet apart, and I was not there, I chose to stay home, but where people positioned themselves in the room at a distance, I don't know if that's a realistic option for a future in-person meeting. I don't honestly know, but the city is looking ahead to the idea of back in the building for some things. I just don't know about meetings.
Oh,
right.
Well, I know that the one thing that's kind of that might dictate the timeline is that there's the executive order allowing electronic meetings, and that lasts till June 30th, which is where I think the June 30th date from the city actually came from. So, yeah, I mean, for us, the implication would be, yeah, we could hold our June meeting on Zoom, and I'm guessing we probably will do so. We don't have a meeting scheduled for July and August, I believe. I think we've always
No, we do not.
had.
No.
So the next one would be in September, and at that point we may, it depends how things are going, whether we go back into City Hall or not. Hopefully we will.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, good to know. And Elizabeth, I do appreciate, your input on that and kind of keeping abreast of the situation and what's going on. Obviously, we want to be safe and, sort of take the route that, so, are all of you okay with doing Zoom for the next meeting?
I'm okay with whatever we do.
Okay.
I'm also okay with it. This is Christiana speaking.
Okay. Thank you, Christiana. All right. So then, yeah, that's what we can plan for. Denise is we'll just have another Zoom meeting on June 17th for our June meeting as well. Now, the other point of information, thank you. The other point of information that I want to bring to our attention, and Sally, I wanted to get your input on this because, of course, I know just in person when we had talked, way back in February, you had mentioned to me that you were no longer going to be staying on as vice chairman. But given the circumstances and given that we're meeting virtually, is that still the case? And are you going to be stepping away, after this meeting, or are you able to continue? And then are we able to go through and find out which commissioners would like to step in? What's your feeling on that, Sally?
So, so my term is up on May 31st. And, I've been on the commission 8 years. I think I've been chair for 3 of those years or 4 of those years and vice chair a couple of those years.
Yeah.
And I know we have a full commission. I know there are people that want to get on it. So, I'm happy to continue to be a resource sort of offline, but I think it's time for some new blood. There are people who want to be on the commission, and I don't want to take up a spot. I've been on a long time, and I think it makes sense to transition away. But of course, I wish you all well, and I'm happy to be.
You didn't see that. You didn't see that clause in there, Sally, that says we keep you forever. You didn't see that one, did you?
No, I didn't see
I
it.
very much enjoyed working with you, and I'm going to be. You're going to be missed by some of us.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, you are going to be sorely missed, and
Thanks.
yeah, you're going to be sorely missed, and so, well, that's unfortunate, and I'm really bummed and in person and do something to show our gratitude to you, Sally, and everything that you've done, not just for the city, but also the commission. And I
think the deal is.
Go ahead, Liz.
I think the deal is, Zach, we probably have to vote. We probably have to get some people together, and we have to vote for another vice chair.
Well, yeah. What I'd like.
Are elections happening anytime soon anyway? Are you up for? Are you up again, or?
Before we proceed to new business, I just wanted to tack on my personal gratitude and admiration. Working with you, Sally, really has been one of the highlights for me of this work. I don't think I would have met you otherwise. I'm tremendously grateful for everything you've done. You've got a passion for these issues. And again, I hope you'll be, I hope you'll throw your hat in the ring again for city leadership, because I think the city could use a little bit of your fire and passion for the issues that we all care about.
Thank you, Matthew. I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm glad that I think we first connected when you had a question that came through to me when I was chair, and lo and behold, here you are, a commissioner, and I am very certain our paths are going to cross again. Thank you.
And remember, blind guys can use shears.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. I think that story is going
You
to go
got to
down.
remember that.
I do remember that. You put me in my place, and rightly so. Sorry, that's Lou
So,
barking.
okay. I'd like to propose is,
He votes no too.
if there are any candidates that are interested in becoming vice chairman of the commission, I would encourage you to email myself and just say, hey, Zach, I'd like to be considered. And then what I'd like to do is come at the June meeting. I'd like to basically, put those names in the hat and then have a vote on can, elect as vice chairman of the commission. So in between that time, in between now and our next June meeting, if you are interested, please don't hold back, and please feel free to email me and express your interest. And then from there, having a vote on June 17th. And what I'd like you to do, what consists of, is that once I introduce you guys as a candidate, I'd like you to sort of give me, or all of us, a few minutes, sort of, as to why you would like to be vice chair and, what you would look forward to doing as the vice. Does that work for all of you?
Can I just suggest
Sure.
can I just suggest that we stick with the language of vice chairperson?
Vice chairperson, sure. Sorry about that. Vice chairperson. Yeah. So yes, vice chairperson. Yeah. Okay.
Or just vice
Thank you,
chair
Nancy.
for short would be fine.
Oh, right. We'll just call them the chair. But yeah, is everyone okay with sort of doing that? Basically, all of you interested, please send me an email just saying your interest, and then what we can do is I can then, Denise, what I'll do is for the next meeting, I'll email you about putting the vote for the vice chair on the agenda for June 17th.
Okay.
So that we can proceed with that and have all the candidates hopefully be present and represented on Zoom, and then vote that way.
I have a suggestion, though.
Sure.
My suggestion is we better check when you do. We better check if you have another year, if you're coming up soon, because we might want to do chair and vice chair together. If it's if you're, I think we usually vote in October for that.
Yeah, I think so.
And so if you're up, I mean, somebody else might want to run for chair too. I'm just saying,
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
you wait, if it's that close to you being up, we just put chair and vice chair, and maybe somebody would act temporary vice chair. Can we do that? I have to look at the bylaws. I got the bylaws.
I'm not sure, Larry. I'd have to go back and look at the bylaws. Sally, you
Yeah,
might
I'd have to
know.
look. And if you got another year in your term, that would make sense, because then somebody could just go vice chair, But
Right.
if you got another 2 months to your term, maybe it might make more sense just to do everything together and do the chair and vice chair together.
Right. Are you trying to kick me out, Larry? No, I'm just kidding.
No. I'm just trying to make it fair for anyone who would want to
I know.
do it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, I'll
And-
take
and-
a look.
and-
I'm pretty sure
not-
it's a 2-year
Go
term.
ahead.
I'm pretty sure it's a 2-year term on the even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too, and I think Zach's 2 years. That's what my question is. Have you been doing it for 2 years?
That's a good
Zach?
question. I'd have to look it up and see. I'm not sure.
And I think there's also something that says you can do it for 2 years. Is it you can do it for 2 years and then step down? And you can do it again?
You can do it.
Yeah, that's the question.
I think
I'll have
it's
to
a
go back and-
2-year term and you can only have 2 terms.
Okay, so you can do it twice. Okay, that.
Chair from 2014 to 20.
So in theory, yeah, so in theory, Zach, you could be chair for another 2 years then, but you'd have to be
Got it.
voted again.
Sure. Okay.
And it would just make sense to do both of them at once, I would think.
Well, I'll double check. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to. Maybe I'll ask. Denise. Maybe that's something I can ask you. I don't know when my term ends.
Okay, I can look that up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And my other question is then, could we would we appoint a could you appoint a temporary vice chair for the couple of meetings that we'd need one? Could that be appointed or would
Yeah, I think
or
it's
agreed
in
on?
the bylaws. It's in the bylaws, but I think because our terms as commissioners are all staggered, people roll off different months during the year. But
Yeah.
it's pretty clear in the bylaws, and I think I'm not sure the answer about the vice chair, but I'm fairly certain that if you as a commission decide to appoint an interim vice chair, you can do that. But I don't know what the vice chair terms are compared to the chair terms. I think
I think they're the same.
I'm not sure.
I think it's the same deal, Sally.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's spelled out.
But I'll
in-
look at my bylaws to make sure I got a Braille copy. I brailled a few.
Well, yeah, I'll look at the bylaws too, guys, just to make sure. I just know that obviously Kelly's term was ending, and I wanted to get it addressed, so that we had, obviously there's
I'm just doing.
vacancy. So,
I'm just bringing it up in the interest in being fair and whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I wonder
Right.
if we appoint a vice chair to fill a vacancy, it might just be that they just fill it until the term is up, which would be like 2 months anyway.
Well, they could do that. They could do that, but then they could run for it if they want it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm open to that as well, but I also, if that's the correct way about it, or if we wanted to put somebody in, but I will double check the bylaws and then, figure out the best method to whether we have an interim step in for the rest of the, or whether we vote somebody in. But either way, you guys, I'd still like to have someone, that could be
Yeah.
chair to be able to work with and bounce some ideas off. And of course, keep things moving forward in terms of what we've talked about, in terms of what we're going to do, and just kind of keep things moving forward so that the commission itself can stay relevant and on the forefront of, city council's mind as well as the city's. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Well, that is all that I have to report. Do we know, folks? Denise did. Rachel Hawkins, did she join us today?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Do we know? Did Rachel Hawkins join us today? Rachel, are you on the line?
No, I don't see her on my side as a participant.
Oh.
Let me look at it.
No problem.
Let me look. No, she has.
But there is an update from Linda regarding Ann Arbor Inclusive. Did you see that, Zach?
I did get that, yes. I skimmed through it, but I don't have it in front of me at this time.
All right, I've got it.
Okay.
Do you want me to just read it?
Great. Yeah, if you don't mind.
So this was supposed to be Rachel's update. I'm just gonna, if you want to bear with me, I'm just gonna read it. Hello, Rachel. Currently, we have started doing virtual interviews on Zoom. We have done our first one and it came out quite nice. Melissa will have sent you an email about that one, and the upcoming June interview. Doing the interviews on Zoom has not prevented us from editing in pictures and tags for people's names and titles. However, the closed captioning company has been closed. The May interview and most likely the June interview will not have closed captioning. I did find out today that the company has reopened very recently, though. Melissa and I were chatting this morning about our next interview to be taped. We're talking about would it be possible to get the interview closed, captioned, and decided we wouldn't push it to get done. We want the show to be edited correctly. The timing is going to be very tight this next show. In our conversation, we also talked about how nowadays almost every TV has closed captioning capability and YouTube has its own closed captioning. And just as an aside, I will say this is not part of the update, but there is a closed captioning button on Zoom and I haven't used it yet. So Linda's question to the commission is, does the city need to continue to pay for closed captioning when it is available almost everywhere to those who need it? Closed captioning is quite expensive. Please see if you can give me an answer within the next 2 weeks. The Ann Arbor Inclusive team would greatly appreciate it. Hope you're all well. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Linda. So the question is,
yeah, go ahead.
Can their Zoom interviews be closed captioned? And it seems to me that if people have closed captioning option turned on in their TV, then I think it's automatic. It seems like it should be free. And as I just said, there's a closed caption button on Zoom. So subtitle settings, view full script, show subtitle. I have a feeling it's probably inclusive of a Zoom contract, but I've never tried to use it.
Yeah. I haven't either. And, I wasn't sure whether that works well or, whether it's adequate for people or not. But I was aware that there was at least that option. And so I think that's a good option for them to use. I can reach out to Linda and say, are you able to use that since they're doing the show Zoom? Are they able to use that through Zoom? And the question that I would have too is that once they're transferred from Zoom to YouTube, does that closed captioning stay there? Or, is it something that's only usable in Zoom versus them transferring it over to YouTube? Do we know that?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
Either.
I've been doing interviews. I've been doing interviews on Zoom and then loading them on YouTube. And YouTube has an automatic captioning feature. And it's close. It does work because the Zoom makes a recording that once you load it to Zoom, it all works.
Okay. So that makes sense. And so then, Sally, Linda's question was that, would the city continue to do that if they were doing Zoom shows? Is that correct?
Would the city continue to pay for it? Because they have someone do the closed captioning. The question is, if there are not, I guess that's relevant. A relevant question if there are not free services already available through Zoom or YouTube. And so I think we need to figure out whether or not they can use that for free. And it seems like they should be able to, but if not, would the city pay for it?
Right.
And she's hoping someone can get back to her as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, who would know that? I mean, who would we talk to in the city that would know that?
I CTN would probably know.
Okay. Well, then I'll reach out to them and then see if they're still willing to do that or if Zoom is still the best option. I mean, my hunch is that if they're able to get closed captioning through Zoom and then through YouTube and it's free, then the city won't have to pay for it. So
it's think that's what we're saying.
Yep. So I'll just, like I said, I'll reach out and then get back to Linda and give her a response. All right. All right. So,
Sounds
and
good.
I did have a question. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just saying sounds good to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then I did have a question for Rachel, but I'll follow up with her because we did have her engagement committee meeting was still scheduled for the 27th, and I wasn't sure if it was still going forth, but she's not here, so I'll reach out to her through email to see if she's still doing that. All right. Okay. Next, we have the Partners and Access Committee, and that is Mr. Keeler.
We did nothing.
Okay. No report.
We actually were going to have a meeting in, I think it was April. Whenever I got my cell phone, and I had two of the three lined up. Alex couldn't make it apparently, and they misunderstood. There was a misunderstanding about the date. I put out the right date, but for some reason it wasn't set up right, so I just had to cancel it.
Okay.
But we're going to. I don't know if we're going to meet this June because of what's going on, but as soon as the next time we meet, we want to get an agenda going. So if it doesn't happen this summer, I'll end up contacting the commissioners and looking and see what you want us to do, and I'll be able to write the agenda up for the next meeting.
Okay.
Whenever that would be.
Sure.
I think we got one scheduled for June, but I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Okay.
But it could happen during the summer if we get some things together. You know, if we get some agenda items together, I could probably call one. So as far as at least right now, we're not doing anything, and the other two people on the committee aren't here today either.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Larry.
And I see I'm on the agenda again for the recruiting committee.
I was just going to say I'm not.
And we did.
Yet, so you're not off the hook.
Oh, you're not done with me yet, huh?
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So recruiting activity. Anything, Larry?
Well, that's what I said. I'm still on the agenda for that, and we didn't do anything yet either.
Oh. Okay.
No.
I'm planning to meet with Elizabeth eventually to go through and see if we can contact some of these old people and how we do that for the people that are still on the old list and see if anyone's still here.
Right.
And see who's still interested. I know we were going to do that.
Right.
Well, we haven't done it yet. We could by phone if we want, Elizabeth. But
Yeah, we really could. We really could. I put it all in emails to you, so I can just search my emails and track it down if you can't track it down. We made notes and stuff. So yeah. Yeah.
You might want to resend it to me because, well, I accidentally dumped my city folder a couple months ago, and it really irritated me. I had to rebuild it. But
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can track that down. I'll resend it. Mm-hmm.
Don't you hate accidental deletions?
Yes.
Yes.
Of whole folders, too.
Oh. And if I'm correct, you guys, the last time we had talked about recruiting a different application for the commission, there was quite a few. And, of course, upon, Alex coming on the commission, there were vacancies. So I'm sure we can also.
There were like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I'm sure we can also revisit individuals and be interested.
Well, what we were thinking about doing, what Elizabeth and I were thinking about doing, Miss Nelson there, Councilwoman Nelson, I guess I should call you that. We're planning on going through and seeing if it's possible, or if there's a way we could chase down those recruits, those people that were interested, and see if they're still interested, or see if they're still even here.
Yeah.
And then if there's not too many people on the list, if we eliminate some, we can put out for more recruiting.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, then definitely, keep me updated on that, Larry, and Elizabeth, our councilwoman. No, thank you for your help in that as well. All right. Anything else on that, Larry?
No.
Okay. Next, we have the Transportation Commission update from Mr. Hall.
Yeah, so the February agenda is attached. I'm really kind of fuzzy as to what we were doing then because that feels like a year ago at this point. And yeah, I mean, I know that we are meeting by Zoom tonight, and we're going to discuss some of this social distancing work they're doing as far as streets and they're looking at. And I know there's also been talk about like closing streets off for dining once the restaurants open up again, and like possibly, like I know seen some things floating around, but yeah, I know. So be interesting to see what we talk about then, but that we'll probably have more on that in the June meeting. At least for this meeting, you'll be able to see what happened then.
Sure. And the Asian Commission, Zoom, correct?
I couldn't hear you.
The Transportation Commission, you guys are also meeting through Zoom? Is that correct? Okay. All right.
Hey, Tim, I got a question for you. See, pay attention tonight because I'm not exactly sure if it had been approved or not. The micromobility committee was doing something with their ordinance, and I'm not really sure if everybody approved it or not. The changes in the ordinance they're writing up.
Yeah, I know they had talked about it a little in the February. You might want to look at the February minutes to see what happened there. But yeah, I'm not sure if they're doing anything more because that. Yeah,
I've seen some of their stuff in the last couple months, and the last thing I've seen is they're trying to write an ordinance and trying to do the language. Yeah. But I'd never seen if it had been officially approved.
Yeah.
Like I get all their stuff, but I think it hasn't been approved yet.
Yeah, well, I was.
So you have my email. That would be a curious question to see if you find out.
Okay, I could say, I mean, the February meeting minutes for the Transportation Commission are attached, and there was discussion of the Micromobility Commission. I can't remember if they actually approved the changes or were just starting to discuss it.
All right. Okay. Well, great. Thank you, Tim, for that update. And Denise, do we have Kathleen Mozak Betts? Did she call?
Say that again?
Did Kathleen Mozak Betts?
Hold on, I don't see.
I don't think we have her.
I don't see her, no.
No problem. All right, so then, of course, I did get the minutes for the concerns in the last met, and of course, what I could do is just move forward with the meeting since she is not here, and I'll make sure, pretty sure she was on the email list for our meeting today, but I just need to why she couldn't join. So next, on to announcements. Does it have any announcements at this time?
Did we skip new business?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. All right. Well, we are adjourned, everyone, at 5:13, 20th. I want to thank you all again for taking the time out of your day. And again, I want to thank Corey Ferris and Sally Hart Peterson again for everything that they've done and continue to do for the city and for the commission. And I hope you guys down the line that we can invite them out somewhere when we're all able to again someday and toast to them and show our appreciation.
Thanks very much,
Thank you,
Zach.
Zach.
Thank you. Have a
Thanks.
good day, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care. You
Well,
too.
thank you, everyone.